we all? I hope you're all doing very well. Welcome back to my channel and to a baking video. I'm very excited about this one. I feel like I haven't been in the kitchen in quite some time, so we're back in familiar territory, and today I'm attempting one of the most technically difficult bakes I've ever done. As you can tell by the title, we're going to be making a 3-tier white chocolate celebration cake with a gorgeous Swiss meringue buttercream frosting. We're also going to do some French meringues on top and do a lovely chocolate ganache drip. So there's a lot going on. It's a very complex cake. The recipe I'm going to be using is from a website called Live for Cake. So I'll leave the link with all of the quantities down below. I'm using metric for grams. I'm going to talk through step by step, and hopefully at the end we're going to have a lovely celebration cake. I'm taking this to a 4th of July party that we're having in the UK. My friend Sam's hosting 4th of July Independence Day because his girlfriend is American. She's from Dallas in Texas, so taking it over as a lovely gift. So yeah, if you've got any birthdays or anything like that coming up, this will be perfect for that. Right, I'm going to stop talking. Let's get into it. Okay, so in the mixing bowl, I've got some unsalted, soft, room temperature butter that I'm just going to beat. Full quantities will be linked down below. I'm just going to beat this until it's nice and smooth. And while that's doing its thing, I have some white chocolate here, and what I'm going to do is pour over the milk. So this is whole milk. I'm just going to pour that over, and you can either melt this in a pan or you can just do it in blasts in the microwave, but basically it just needs to be fully melted until it's nice and smooth. Okay, so once the butter has softened, I'm now going to add the sugar. We're using granulated sugar for this, so I'm just going to add that all the way in. And then you want to beat that on a high speed. If you are doing this just with a regular hand mixer, it might take you a little bit longer, but if you've got a KitchenAid of sorts, then this will make light work of that. So beat that for around 3 minutes until it's nice and golden and fluffy. So that's had about a minute to beat. I'm just going to scrape down the sides to make sure all of the sugar is combined. So I'm going to beat that back on full speed now for another 2 minutes until it's nice and pale. Okay, so I'm going to break the eggs in one at a time. I do it in a bowl just to be careful there's no shell or anything in there. So I'm just going to go one straight in, and then I'm just going to beat that in. Okay, so now I'm going to sift in the dry ingredients. So I've got the all-purpose flour, the plain flour, so that's going to go straight in. Sifting isn't essential, it just means that your cake's going to be nice and light. And then I'm also going to add in the baking powder and salt, and then just give that a little sieve. And then I'm also going to add in the cooled milk and white chocolate that's nice and melted. Just pour all that in too, and beat that on a low speed to start, just till it's combined. And now the last thing to do is add some vanilla. This is vanilla bean paste. It's really, really strong and intense. Complements the white chocolate. If you just have extract, that's fine. So I have the batter ready to go. I'll just give it a final stir. It's quite liquidy, which apparently the recipe says it should be. I have some cake tins here. The recipe says 6-inch cake pans. I think these are slightly larger, so I might only get 2 out of it. We'll see. I might have to do it in batches. And all I've done is just cut a ring of baking parchment, popped it on the bottom, and I'm going to grease the sides and pour it in. Okay, so these just need to bake at 180 degrees for around 40 minutes until a skewer comes out of the middle clean, and then it can cool and we can work on the frosting. So we're going to start on the second element of the cake, which are the tiny little mini button meringues I'm going to do on top. I've made meringues before on this channel, but all you do, make sure you've got a really clean bowl. If you've got a piece of lemon, just clean the inside of it. I have just washed this, which means it's completely grease-free. Any grease will stop the whites from fully aerating. So because I'm only making literally such a small quantity of meringues, all we really need is the whites from 1 egg. So with a clean whisk attachment, again you can do this by hand, we just want to aerate this until you've got medium stiff peaks. And now I just want to add the caster sugar in little by little, whisking between each addition. So I've just got a baking sheet out and I've lined it with baking parchment. Pro tip, once your meringue has whipped up, use whatever's left on your beater to just pop a little dab in each of the corners of the tray. That way when you come to pop your baking parchment on, it doesn't slide all around and is firmly on the sheet. So the meringue is whipped up beautifully. What I'm going to do is grab my piping bag. I've just popped, I think it's a Wilton Star nozzle on the end. And I have this red food colouring gel that I got off of Amazon. I use the gel because it's a lot more concentrated. You need a lot less and you get a better colour payoff. Oh, that's the time for the cakes. So all I do is pop the skewer in the red food colouring, and then I just pop it in the side of the bag like this, and I'm just going to do stripes, so then when the meringue's piped out, it actually transfers onto the meringue just to give a really nice effect. And then with a clean spatula, you just want to add the whipped meringue into the piping bag, just making sure it's nice and coaxed in there. Don't worry if you get a little bit of red on the spatula, it's absolutely fine. Just want to make sure it's pressed into the piping bag. Okay, so the piping bag is nice and full, so you just want to make sure that it's fully in there. And you can see the food colouring transferring, so that's perfect. Just roll the top of the bag up, and then I just squeeze it down just to get rid of any air bubbles. And then I give it a little twist, just to encourage it to come out at the end. That's perfect, right, it's ready to pipe. I think they look absolutely fab. So obviously the oven's just been on for the cake, so you want to turn the temperature of the oven down to 100 degrees fan. Wait a few moments for it to come up to temperature, otherwise it'll be too hot. And pop the meringues in. These need to bake for around an hour. The idea with meringues is you cook them low and slow, and then they'll be ready to top the cake when it's frosted. Okay, so the cakes have been leveled. I've trimmed the outside as well, so they are perfectly flat and gorgeous and golden on the side. So I'm gonna leave these to cool completely, wrap them in cling film, and actually pop them in the freezer just for half an hour, just to really firm them up, and then they'll be perfect to frost. Okay, so we're about to move on to the third from final step, and this one is something I'm stepping into unfamiliar territory. We're going to make a Swiss meringue buttercream. I've just been reading some tutorials online, watching a couple of videos. I feel like I've got the gist of it. Basically, so in a pan, I'm just going to add some recently boiled water. I'm using boiling water just because it will get up to heat quicker. And then using a heat-proof bowl, I'm just using my KitchenAid bowl. So I'm just going to pop that on the heat, and then I'm going to add in the caster sugar straight into the egg whites. I'm just going to whisk that together until it's combined. And we just basically want to whisk this until it's no longer grainy, so the sugar is essentially just dissolving in the egg whites. Okay, so my sugar has dissolved in with the egg whites, and what I'm going to do now is lock the bowl into place, put the paddle down with the balloon whisk, and whisk this for around 8 to 10 minutes until it's nice and voluptuous, smooth, and the bowl is cool to the touch. This has been whipping up for about, I'd say, nearly 10 minutes now, and it is beautifully thick. It looks like a gorgeous Italian meringue. So all we need to do now is add in the butter. Two crucial things you do when you add the butter. It looks like a large amount of butter, but it needs to be in small quantities so you can add it in, and it needs to be room temperature. Two very important things. While the mix is still running, just keep that going, and just slowly add just a bit of the butter at a time, making sure it's beat between every addition. Okay, so this is the Swiss meringue buttercream. It's beautifully thick and creamy and glossy, and it tastes of white chocolate. I literally added in the cooled melted white chocolate, and oh my god, this is, I've never made this before, but I feel like this is going to be my go-to frosting now. I'm just going to pop it in the fridge to firm up for about 5 minutes, and then we can get to frosting. Okay, so this is the base layer of the cake. Now, it's a very delicate crumb, which is always good. It means it's going to be nice and delicious to eat it, but I need to be really careful. I've just chilled the Swiss meringue buttercream in the fridge just for 5 minutes just to allow it to firm up. And now I'm going to pop some on top and start to assemble the cake. This is just going to be the crumb coats. This is just going to be enough to lock in all the crumbs, ready for the smooth finish that we're going to aim for at the end. Okay, so that's the crumb coat done. It doesn't need to be perfect by any means, just enough to lock in the crumbs. I'm going to pop that in the fridge for around half an hour while I make some dinner, because it's taken me that long to make this. I'm also going to chill the buttercream and then do the second layer, and then we can decorate it. Okay, so it's the next day. The cake has been chilling in the fridge. It's chilled overnight, so it's very, very firm, and it's perfect for the second layer. The whole idea of a crumb coat is it just locks in the crumbs. As I said, this is a very, very moist, slightly loose crumbed cake, so it really needed that time to chill. So I have the Swiss meringue buttercream here. All I'm going to do is just give it a really good beat with a spatula, and then we're going to go into decorate, which is the most exciting part. So I'll bring you guys closer and talk you through what I'm going to do. I'm using a really large palette knife for this, just to actually get the buttercream out and then onto the cake. I've got a medium palette knife just for the sides, an offset spatula for the top, and I also have a cake scraper. You can get these off of Amazon, eBay for pennies. These are really good just to get the sides nice and crisp. So I'm going to start with a really large blob on top, and I'm going to start by just pushing that backwards and forwards, side to side, just to coat the whole top of the cake, and then push it to the sides. This frosting is made a lot, so don't be scared to apply a lot. And then same on the sides, just really coax it around the cake. Just really pile it on. Don't worry about being too neat, because we can scrape the excess off afterwards. Just really put it on the cake. Because we're going for a perfect finish on this cake, we don't really want to see any of the undercoat. So all I'm doing is just got the bowl to the side and I'm just scraping off the excess around the rim. And then just carrying on. And then with your turntable, just make sure your palette knife is at 90 degrees and just turn. So with the offset spatula, I just bring the sides in like so and just really smooth out the top. And then using the cake leveler, what I do is just set it at a 90-degree angle on the cake and just scrape around just to really make the sides nice and straight. And then using the offset spatula again, just bring the sides in just to make sure they're nice and straight. Don't worry too much about this because I'm going to cover it in a chocolate ganache drip as well. Okay, so I've just popped a really rough white chocolate and red ganache mix on the side. I did that in the kitchen because it was really warm, but all I did was use this piping bag and just pop smidgens around, and then I used the scraper just to kind of like blend it in. So it's got this like two-toned effect, which I think looks quite cool. It's not perfect again, but that absolutely doesn't matter because what we're going to do now really will bring the cake to life. So with the remaining buttercream, what I'm going to do is pipe some rosettes on top. So we're just going to go in and up, and I'm going to leave a gap because I made the meringues to go in between. So I'm going to do 3 meringues there, slightly smaller one there, and then I just hold some strawberries that I'm just going to put in each place of the buttercream. Perfect, and then a strawberry for me. And then I have some shards of this Eat and Mess chocolate. Going off of where I think the cake looks its best, which is probably here, I'm just going to jab these shards in the top like that, kind of like sporadic with it, just to really enforce the Eat and Mess theme. It's very warm in here, so I need to get this in the fridge real quick, but what I'm going to do just for a final flurry is just pop some meringue crumbs around the base. Again, this isn't necessary at all, but I just think it adds like a nice little texture to it, so just really jab those in. And this is why I was saying it's not too important about making it perfect, because we're really going to go to town on this. So I've changed my shirt. This is my 4th of July shirt. I'm aware this is going to go live after Independence Day. Happy 4th of July if you do celebrate in America. This is the finished cake. This has taken me quite some hours to make and perfect, and I'm so happy with how it's turned out. It is a 2-layer white chocolate Swiss meringue buttercream celebration cake with meringues, white chocolate bark. It's just delicious. I will leave the whole recipe down below in cups and grams if you want to make it for any celebrations coming up. You can of course customize this however you do like. Happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day, happy whatever day you're watching this. Love to you all, take care, stay safe. If you have enjoyed this and you want to see more baking videos, and of course don't forget to click subscribe. I'll catch you all very soon. Stay safe, lots of love, bye for now.